So we're going to talk about cravings and share a story. I'm going to share a story with you about how I was stress eating Ben and Jerry's peanut butter and cookie ice cream. Oh yeah, it's heaven in a pint. It is heaven in a pint. If you've never had it, it's non-dairy, so it won't upset your stomach. But if you've never had it, it is delicious. And if you have had it, you will understand why I was stress eating that ice cream. You know, cravings, it's a discussion I have with clients all the time. Cravings is one of those things that can stand in the way of your weight loss. If you're trying to lose weight and you don't know how to manage your cravings, it's going to be difficult. So this is one area that if you can have a few strategies under your belt and learn how to manage your cravings, you're gonna be all right, okay? You're gonna be all right. I do want to let you know that cravings are normal, and we're going to go through a couple of examples as to why people crave certain foods. You know, most of us will have to deal with cravings from time to time. Okay, that's just a normal part of life. Now, there is a study. As I'm looking at my notes, there's a study in a journal called Appetite. Okay, they did a study in this journal called Appetite, which is a monthly peer-reviewed scientific journal covering research on normal and disordered eating and drinking in animals and humans. Okay, so it's a journal. It was established in 1980, so they did this study. Okay, study found that 97% of women and 68% of men report having at least occasional cravings. 97% of women and 68% of men report having at least occasional cravings. 97% of women, that's like almost every woman. That's a lot of women, which also tells me that 97%, there's gonna be a hormonal component to cravings. Yes? If you agree with that, thumbs up. And then 68% of men, over half of all men, as a part of this study, report at least having occasional cravings. So that's a lot of people. That's like a lot of people. And it's a lot of people on here. So that's a lot of people, right? 97% of women, 68% of men. Okay? The thing about it is, it's not about not having cravings. It's about how you manage the cravings. Most people who are trying to lose weight and are trying to get this area handled feel like they are a failure because they have cravings for things like tacos and pizza and chips and things like that. But I want to encourage you to switch your mindset about that. It's not about not having cravings, as I said. It's about switching up your mindset and having some tactics, some strategies on how to deal with it. And through my story that I'm going to share with you here in a second, hopefully you'll get a couple of strategies that can help you with your own cravings. Now, I want you to switch your mindset about cravings, okay? Here's why. Because they are going to happen, and there's a couple of reasons why. We talked about 97% of women. 97% of women. So there's a hormonal component. A hormonal component to cravings. Okay, so hormones is one aspect of it. Being sleep deprived, which is a stressor on the body, that will kick in those cravings. Okay? Feeling stressed, as I'm about to share with you my COVID story, feeling stressed, if you all remember back to the start of COVID, that will raise your cortisol levels, that will activate the hormone, the hunger hormone ghrelin, and so you will start to crave certain types of food that you like. So again, there are more hormones. And then lastly, there are some foods that are specifically designed for you to crave. And I'm going to repeat that again. There are some foods processed that are specifically designed using sugar for you to crave. They make you crave the food. They make you become a brand loyal by using sugar in food products so that you will crave them. They use sugar, okay? So if that's new to you, check out some of the food items at your local grocery store. Just grab a box and you'll see there'll be things in there that you'll be like, whoa, I didn't realize there was sugar in ketchup or whatever. So, but yeah, sugar is in a lot of different products that you may not have realized, but that is what they do. It's designed for you to crave and to like the product. So again, it's about dealing with the cravings and not avoiding them, okay? And so we're gonna get into that. So my story begins back in March here in Jacksonville when everything was getting shut down, right? And everybody was kind of trying to figure out what was happening. It was very stressful, as you all know. It was very stressful. For me, the gyms were closing. I was working from home 8 to 9 hours. I was doing some in-person training in parks. My online business was getting very busy because people were switching from gyms to online training. They wanted a coach to continue working on their weight loss and their running goals. And so everything was just kind of, everybody, just flying by the seat of the pants, and things were happening fast. And so there was a lot of stress. Everybody was home. Remember the kids, they all came home. They were home, right? So a lot of tension, a lot of stress, a lot of work, a lot of activity. And so at the end of the night, when we were done with dinner, I felt that I could have a treat. I could have some ice cream, right? Working hard, busy, trying to manage things. I deserved a little bit of ice cream. And so that's what I did. I started to have some ice cream. Ben & Jerry's peanut butter and cookie, non-dairy ice cream. Get yourself some if you've never had it, okay? And so we would finish a meal. I would look forward to having that ice cream. It was a treat. It was a real treat. It was a pleasure. Just so you know, there's not many things that I indulge in anymore. I used to, pre-trainer life, but now it's basically coffee, ice cream, and NFL football. There you go. That's my life. And because of the stress of everything going around, I just felt like this was my one thing. I was entitled to some ice cream at the end of the night, okay? And I deserved it, so I would indulge. But then I started to notice we were buying more and more ice cream, and I was eating more and more ice cream on a regular basis. Every time I would go into the freezer and I'd pull that pint out, oh look, there's another pint, brand new, unopened, right behind it. I was like, So, one night became 2 nights, became 3 nights, became 4 nights, became 5 nights of eating ice cream, okay? Now, my caloric intake is going up. My activity level is going down. And like most of you, I started to put on a little bit of weight. I probably put on about 12 pounds if I'm doing the math correctly. I got up to about 180. I'm normally hovering around 168, 170. And I think for most people that it was a normal experience at the beginning of COVID, okay? But then, like all things that you enjoy too much, it starts to turn itself on you, right? It just kind of caves in on itself. And I started to notice that I wasn't enjoying it as much, but I was still eating ice cream, and I was kind of in that weird place. I kind of noticed that it was happening too much, and it was happening too often, and so I had to catch myself. I was like, why is my face in another pint of ice cream? Why? Okay. Now, the thing that got me out of this pattern of eating ice cream after dinner, which is something that, I want to share with you, maybe a strategy that perhaps could work for you if you find yourself craving a certain food at a certain time. Recognize maybe that you are running a familiar pattern. Our brain likes to be very efficient. It likes to do the same things over and over and over again, whether it's good for us or bad. It doesn't matter. As long as it's the same and it has to expend very little energy, the brain loves to do that. When you try to break a pattern or a habit, especially something that's negatively affecting you, like eating too much ice cream, the brain doesn't like that. Like, we want to do this again and again. It's easier this way. So I had to catch myself, okay? I made a rule because I wanted to change my routine. And that's tip number 1 if you're trying to overcome your cravings. change your routine. If you notice you have a routine, change it, break it. And so what I did was I created a rule for myself that was, yes, I'm a grown adult and I make rules for myself. I was not gonna eat ice cream 2 nights in a row. I was not gonna eat ice cream 2 nights in a row. That was my rule. I could eat ice cream, so I didn't go cold turkey, but I didn't allow myself to eat ice cream 2 nights in a row. So I would have ice cream and then I'd take an off night. But on that off night, I caught myself thinking about what was behind that freezer door. Yes, so again, I had to change my routine. So on the nights I didn't eat ice cream, I would shut the kitchen down and I'd go to bed early. That was the change in my routine. It was no longer eating ice cream. I would just shut the kitchen down. We would just close it up and then I would go to bed early. That was it. That was what was starting to get me out of that familiar pattern, that routine, okay? I would get myself to go to bed early as I'm looking at my notes, and that was what I was doing to interrupt my old habit and my old pattern. And then when I did indulge in ice cream, I only allowed myself 4 to 5 bites. So that's the second tip, okay? You can satiate, but within reason. So 4 to 5 bites. Now, you have to know yourself, okay? You have to know who you are. If you cannot put the lid back on that pint, put it back in the freezer, that is not going to work for you, okay? You're gonna have to find a different strategy, which I will share with you. Some other ideas that you can use to help you manage your cravings. But you can satiate if you can keep it under control. And so I would do that. 4 to 5 bites. I would enjoy the ice cream. I would savor it. I would be present. I'd be like, yes, because I knew it would be another 2 nights before I could have ice cream again. And that's how I managed that. A couple other things that I did to help with my cravings is, one, I increased my water consumption. Okay, so water consumption and making sure you're eating plenty of calories before the end of the night are 2 very important factors into feeling satiated so you don't have cravings at the end of the day. So that's the third tip. Make sure you're eating plenty during the day, that you're not skipping breakfast, having a light lunch, and then gorging yourself at night, because that pattern won't work. You will overindulge at night. And making sure you're drinking plenty of water, minimum 100 ounces of water daily to help satiate your body, that hunger, okay? Those are the kinds of things that you can do prior to the end of the evening to set yourself up for success to control cravings, okay? So that's what I started to do. I started to kind of get back into what I would consider a quote unquote normal routine in an environment at the start of COVID that was very not normal, very, very chaotic, very, very anxious time at the very beginning. And so I got back into that normal routine. And with that, I started working out more consistently. Okay, so that's another thing. That level of normalcy that you can put into your day is something that can help you manage and control cravings. Again, a normal routine will help lower your stress levels. It should lower your stress levels. And back at the beginning of COVID, back in March, there was no normal schedule. It was get up, start working, in your pajamas. I'm sure most of you were working in your pajamas while you were working from home at the very beginning, and then kind of working your 8 or 9 hours and then, finishing the day. So I started to implement a normal routine. So that would help alleviate the stress levels. That will lower your cravings by doing that. So again, all of these tactics, all of these tips, they help give me a sense of control back over my cravings, over my health, over my life at the beginning of COVID back in March, and as I mentioned, and as we all experienced, there was very little that was normal about what was going on in the beginning of March as we were all trying to figure it out. Obviously, the stress levels were high. That was driving hunger as well. Plenty of people who put on some excess weight during that time. And we see that here in Florida all the time. Hurricanes, the stress of hurricane prep. People are eating their snacks, things like that. So it's a familiar routine, it's a familiar pattern that you should be able to recognize. But I got back into my routine and life seemed somewhat normal. And then I got my confidence back that I had my health back under control. So now what do I do currently when I understand that I have a craving? So here's 3 things that I do to help keep my cravings under control. Again, it's not about avoiding cravings. It's about understanding how to manage them and control them. So first thing I do is identify. Number 1 is identify the craving. Do you have a craving? Maybe you're looking forward to alcohol this evening because there's a football game. Okay, if that's what I am craving or I'm looking forward to, for me, I will identify that. Football and beer kind of goes together. Secondly, I will plan for it. Okay, I know that there's a game on tonight. I will probably have a beer. When I get to that moment, for me, I will put it off. I can wait. Tomorrow's Friday. I can have a beer on the weekend and put it off. Or you can also satiate and have that beer in that moment. So again, you have to know who you are and what your goals are. For me, I tend to plan it, and then when I get to that moment, I just put it off for another time. That way I never indulge. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But again, if you decide to indulge, that's fine. Just make sure that you have that craving, you enjoy that moment, and you move on with your life. So identify, plan, and put off, or plan and satiate. That's the 3-step process that I use now to help keep my cravings under control. Hopefully, some of these tips can help you keep your cravings under control. If you have any questions about your cravings or what you can do to get them under control, post them in the chat below. Also want to remind you, listen, it's all about moderation. No one's saying you can't have beer. No one's saying you can't have ice cream or chips or whatever it is you're into, right? But it's all about moderation. And if you have goals like losing weight, it's important that you have some real strategies and skills to help you manage those moments so that you can navigate them and still reach your weight loss goals. Listen, what I'm going to do is in the comments below, I'm going to post the link. I want you to download the Crush Your Cravings guide. It's a free guide that I put together, 9 strategies to help you control your cravings. Okay, you can download it for free. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And if you want to go to the next level with your weight loss, or if you want an actionable plan to help you control your cravings, let's get together. In the comments, type the word crush for Crush Your Cravings. Type the word crush and I will message you, and that'll let me know that you're interested in scheduling a 30-minute complimentary VIP transformation session. Now these transformation sessions, these strategy sessions are valuable. Again, putting together an actionable plan for you for your weight loss, for your running, or to control your cravings. Whatever it is that's challenging you with your health or your weight loss or your fitness, we can put a plan together for you in that VIP transformation session. Again, type the word crush in the chat, and I will circle back and message you, and we'll get you scheduled for that 30-minute complimentary session.